Good afternoon, Namibia and the world, and welcome to another session here at the Government Information Center. I am your host for the afternoon, and my name is Shianoa Desire Kahiha. The topic for this afternoon, we are looking at the operations of the Namibian government garage, and we've got two panelists who are well vested in this particular subject that will be guiding us through the various mandates that they carry, what their operations are, and the challenges that they might be facing at that particular place of work, pardon me. But before we get into that, we would like to call on our very own Dr. Kalumbi Shangula, who will be giving us the COVID-19 update for the 19th of April. Good afternoon, Doctor. How are you this afternoon?
Good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me. Good afternoon, esteemed panelists. Dear fellow Namibians, I will share with the public the COVID-19 report for the 19th of April 2022. We have received a total of 759 results from the laboratory in the last 24 hours reporting cycles, and out of those, 28 of them have tested positive for COVID-19, which represent a 3.6% positivity ratio. Of this, 27 are new infections and 1 is a reinfection. It's made up of 18 males and 10 females. 17 males are all new. The age range from 10 years to 80 years. There is follow Comas 20 from Windhoek, Erongo 4, 3 from Wolf's Bay and 1 from Swakopmund, Kunene 2 from Korihas and 1 from Ochodanjupa in Ochiwarango districts. Among these cases, there are 6 learners, and they are all from different schools. There are also 2 students, 1 teacher, and 1 healthcare worker. 5 cases are fully vaccinated, while 23 are not vaccinated. 5 cases have recovered, 3 from Umsati region and 2 from Ochalaljupa region. The number of active cases now stand at 396. 7 of them are currently in the hospitals in 4 regions. We don't have anyone in the ICU. All those 7 who are hospitalized are not vaccinated. On the positive side, we have not recorded any death during the period under review. In terms of vaccination, by the 18th of March 2022, a total of 452,646 people who are aged 18 years and above have received 1 dose of COVID-19, which represents 31% of the adult target population. 135,655 have received the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, which, as you know, is a single dose, while 259,147 adults have received 2 doses of other vaccine types. Hence, 394,802 adults have completed their vaccination schedule, translating into 27% of the adult target population. A total of 128 individuals have received the component 1 of Sputnik V vaccine, and 76 have received component 2 of the same vaccine. Hence, the total of 204 doses of Sputnik V vaccines were administered. 19,016 children aged between 12 and 17 years have received 1 dose of the Pfizer vaccine, which represents 6.2% of that target population. And of these, 6,611 are fully vaccinated. Therefore, the cumulative number of people vaccinated with the first dose of COVID-19 vaccine for both adults and children now stand at 471,662, of which 401,413 are fully vaccinated, translating in 22.6% of the target population. 49,906 people have received COVID-19 booster dose. In terms of summary, since the beginning of the pandemic to date, to the 18th of April 2022, a total of 158,139 individuals have tested positive for COVID-19. Out of those, a total of 155,839 have recovered, giving us a 98.5% recovery rate. COVID death stands at 3,690 and COVID-related deaths stands at 332, giving us a total death due to COVID-19 at 4,022. So far, we have tested 997,927 samples for COVID-19. The total number currently who are in quarantine is 174. As I conclude my update, I wish to remind ourselves that winter is just across the corner. We all know that during winter time, when it's cold, people tend to be indoors with closed windows, closed doors, lack of air circulation, lack of proper ventilation. And that's the time, if among them one is infected, that the transmission of infection is very high. Therefore, again, we remind ourselves that before that time, it is time for us to get vaccinated, so that when winter proper arrives, we are fully protected. That concludes today's update, and I thank you.
Thank you very much, Honourable Minister, and thank you for your non-tiring heeding of the public on the fact that COVID-19 is still amongst us. As the Honourable reminded us, winter has started actually, so it is of utmost importance for us to now more than ever ensure that we put on our protection gear and try and mitigate any form of outbreak of COVID-19 with regards to the spiking of numbers. Clearly, the infections have started picking up. Coming back to this afternoon discussion, as we said, the topic this afternoon, we're looking at the operations of the Namibian government garage. And I have two panelists with me in the studio this afternoon who are from the division of government garage under the Ministry of Works and Transport. With us, we've got Mr. Nande Amakali. Good afternoon, sir. He is the Deputy Director of that respective division. Good afternoon, and thank you for being with us.
Yes, good afternoon, dear listeners.
We're also having Mr. George Kapofi, who is the Chief Works Inspector in that division as well. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, listeners.
Yes. Getting straight into it, we would like to know, what is the mandate of Government Garage?
Yes, the government garage, it's have a mandate of providing safe and reliable, cost-effective transport to the officers, ministries, agencies in the government to enable them to deliver the services and also to assist the communities, especially with when it comes to the transportation of drought relief foods and also the national events, programs of the government, and also the maintenance of the fleets that's operating under government garage.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spoke about fleets and ensuring that other services have mobility with regards to vehicle allocation, things like drought relief programs and so on. Now, under the fleet provision and management, this is actually a very crucial component of any operations of any institution. And at the same time, it is one of great complexity. Can you please give us an insight on how Government Garage assists OMAS in the smooth running of their fleet operations? I think we can give this to Mr. Kapofi, and we're looking at components or elements such as vehicle acquirement, maintenance thereof, the registration of these vehicles, and so forth.
Thank you, Ms. Kahia, for the question. Yes, the government garage, in fact, plays a very important role. I would call it in the background. Many ministries, offices, and agencies that needs to acquire vehicles would normally come to the government garage to get specifications as to what type of vehicles they would need, the terrain they would want to operate in, and so we provide them with specifications, and they would use that to place their bids, and invite the necessary suppliers to supply them with the vehicles. For vehicles that are not under the management of the government garage, agencies, offices, and ministries keep their own database.
Okay.
They would keep their own, or the suppliers would register the vehicles on their behalf, and that comes as part of the package with the bid or the tender that is advertised. And in addition to that, we also help ministries, offices, and agencies with technical inspections when they feel like vehicles are not performing as well after a couple of years. We would come in and do technical inspections. That would in turn be sent to Treasury for approval for the vehicles to be retired. Or in complex repair cases such as engines, components, differentials, they would always come to us and seek technical advice, whether it's still worth it to repair the component, or is it better to buy a new one, or altogether write off the vehicle. Yeah, so there's a lot of background assistance that we give to OMAS, even those that are running their own fleet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Staying with you, Mr. Kapofi, you mentioned something with regards to the maintenance, the assistance of acquiring vehicles. Do we understand you correctly that OMAS basically only get guidance, but they buy their own fleets, or is it some that buy their own fleets, but others have fleets that are allocated from the Ministry of Works pool of fleets? Can you give us clarity on that one?
Yeah, I certainly, Ms. Kaya. Yeah, we have, you can say, two types of fleet. We have what we call own clients that directly get supplied vehicles from our pool of vehicles. And then you have offices, ministries, and agencies that run their own fleet. So they procure them themselves, they maintain them themselves, they fuel them themselves. As I said, they only come to us in complex technical matters. And Then you have the pool of vehicles that we supply to office, the majority of ministries, offices and agencies.
Yeah.
Mind you, we run a fleet of about 3,200 vehicles countrywide, with 11 centers countrywide. And just imagine. And those vehicles are directly under our jurisdiction for maintenance and eventually retirement at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming to you, Mr. Amakali, there have been complaints. I'm sure if you know anything in the media is to go by as well, there have been complaints about the turnaround time at government garages, with vehicles standing months on end at these premises, and the operations of OMAs in turn get affected due to the lack of transport. We do know that in the past, you know, you would have situations where if a car goes in for repairs and it's going to take a while, government garage would temporarily, from a pool, you know, stack of vehicles, issue a vehicle. But nowadays, that does not seem to be the case. Officials are usually told that most of these delays are due to parts. Can you maybe take us through the procedure that needs to be followed for parts to be ordered for government garage? And this is basically in your experiences in the time frame that you've been with the ministry. And also maybe give us an idea of, if not just the parts ordering, what other, you know, issues or challenges could be attributing to the delays?
Yes, thank you for that. But just to clear off, just to give a bit of a background. Yeah, in the past, we have 11 workshops countrywide that the procurement of parts were done at the regional level.
Yeah.
Where the regional level, we have a economizing committee dealing with all the repairs, the buying of spare parts. But then comes the introduction of Procurement Act, 15 of 2015. Then when it was introduced, we were told that even all the old tenders, they have to be, everything has come to a standstill on the old tenders. We have to start making use of the new Procurement Act. So with that now, everything comes to a standstill, and we have still the bidding document specifications, the awarding of the contractor, everything have to start again all over. But with that delay, the procurement itself, the administrative process, is just too lengthy, and it's at that time that we start now seeing accumulations of a lot of cars in our government garage yards, and also with the suppliers that are, as alluded to by Mr. Kabavi, that need the major repairs, like engine repairs and gearbox, things now starting piling up. Yeah, it's on that that the public, they are correct when they start noticing that. And in fact, it's true that the ministries, it's with that process, it's also starting affecting the ministries to enable them to deliver the services. But the challenge that we have with the procurement is that things are centralized. If you need a procurement of spare parts or repairs as far as from Katima to Getmansop, everything sent to Windhoek.
Yeah.
The driver is only open a job card. And now the paperwork will start up to Windhoek. It's where the things are approved, the purchase order are also created in Windhoek and sent back again to the regions. And with that, instead of the car staying, let's say, for 3 days, you know, as per the industry, it's taking longer than that, up to 3-6 months for that, just the administrative process.
Okay.
Yeah.
But also one thing that we picked up in our inquiries, preparing for this particular session, many of the people that we spoke to hinted to a certain part in the process that sometimes creates a backlog or the bottleneck. And this is the fact, from our understanding, that a lot of these purchase orders are signed by the executive director only. Is this correct? And maybe in the plight to try and alleviate, is there a possibility that this could maybe be, what do you call it? Directed
delegated,
or
delegated
to his deputy? Because I understand that he has a deputy. Am I correct in that She has a deputy, pardon me. So is that a true reflection of the situation on the ground, and could that be a possible solution?
Yeah, maybe before Mr. Kapofi. Yeah, you are rightly correct. At the beginning, when you start with the procurement, and also according to the Act, it's everything's, all the procurement only supposed to be approved by the ED. But now we make several attempts with the procurement policy unit,
Yeah.
so that we can also have some of the power delegated by the ED. For example, now, the beginning of last year, at least we start now, some of us being delegated with a certain power, certain amount. But that, I think, it's also a transformation. So we also going to have it escalate, given also decentralized to the regions.
Okay.
Yeah, that one is coming, also coming with the public procurement review. That's, there were some collective informations gathered from all the other various ministries, so that maybe it's going to go to the parliament. Some of the things can be reviewed so that it enable now the system to function.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. It's good to know that the business process re-engineering is taking action in various ministries, and I think Government Garage is one that seriously needs that to be utilized at that point. But before we carry on, Mr. Kapofi, staying on the subject of procurement, you have cases, for example, where you have a vehicle that needs minor repairs, like a bulb change, for example, or a battery change, and so on. Is there any outlook in the near future where Government Garage can consider bulk buying? Because I believe you have the staff members, if I understood correctly, the mechanical work or changes are done at these premises, facilities. And if you know the type of fleets that you know that you have this type of car, model, make, and there are how many in number, the average time at which these vehicles need a change in a bulb, or you know, you have our terrain as a country can also be tricky on our cars, but with not necessarily major damage. For example, it's a bull bar clip that needs to be replaced. Is there consideration to ensure that there is at least some average amount of stock through the process of bulk buying to try and mitigate the turnaround on, you know, waiting for parts from service providers to Government Garage?
Yeah, indeed, Government Garage does stock to, a certain extent,
Okay.
running parts, like batteries, wiper blades, bulbs. But as Mr. Nande has already alluded to, the procurement process
Yeah.
is so extended. Our store clerks, for example, know that they need to keep minimum levels. So when you reach your minimum level of, let's say, 10 batteries, you would already put in your request for a set of, let's say, 50 batteries. But by the time you reach the order stage, you have long time run out of your batteries in stock. So it's the procurement process. Our minister rightfully referred to it as a bottleneck when we inaugurated the Swakopmund Government Garage recently.
Yeah.
He said he called it's a bottleneck, and we need to get rid of the bottleneck. And one way to get rid of the bottleneck is, like Mr. Makali referred to, is to decentralize the process,
Yeah.
so that small procurement can take place at the center of action.
Yeah.
Where, for example, Katima has an economizing committee. They can immediately approve bulbs or batteries or wiper blades and procure and get the cars moving. Just to give you a short scenario, before the Procurement Act, the Government Garage also services vehicles that run in our parks. Your Nokloof parks, your Etosha parks, your whatever parks. Now, in the past, before 2016, they would call from the Nokloof Park and make an appointment.
Yeah.
We are bringing in our car for a service. It needs service and tires. Usually they would be here by 8. It's quite a distance from Nokloof Park. And that vehicle could go in, and by 1 o'clock, we could call that client and say, your car is done. It's serviced, tires are fitted, it's tested, it's ready for you to travel back to Nokloof Park. That's how we were rendering services. But that has totally changed with the Procurement Act. It has contracted the way we do things.
Yeah.
And to be frank, you cannot run a fleet on a system like that. You cannot compare cars with a pen. If I run out of a pen now, I can go across the street and buy a pen for $6.
Yeah.
But I cannot do that with a car. The system is absolutely protracted, and it's not speaking to what is expected from the institution.
Yeah.
And another thing that came in is all procurement orders or purchase orders are now also printed via the Ministry of Finance. That makes it even more bureaucratic, because the Ministry of Finance does not only print the government garage orders, it prints the whole government's orders. Imagine, when we are in the queue, we remain in that queue until everything ahead of us has to be printed and cleared off. So what we are dealing is a system problem that needs drastic address and redress, and as you rightfully said, re-engineering to fit what is expected from the institution.
Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it's if we are understanding you correctly, it's our ministries or OMAs are so interlinked that when you're trying to overhaul a system in one ministry, it automatically affects the system in another ministry, because, for example, as you are stating, purchase orders, the printing thereof, now is done at the Ministry of Finance, meaning they need to re-engineer their processes with regards to the printing of purchase orders to try and deal with that bottleneck there, so that you, in your ministry or OMA, can deal with your bottleneck.
With our need.
Yes.
Our need, we are expected to render, it's a fast lane service that we expected to render. Our services that we render is a fast lane service. So you need to shorten your period of repairs, and it depends on the logistics of supplying parts. If that logistic of supplying parts is not in order, you cannot run the fleet effectively. You have a piling up of vehicles. I can just give you also an indication slightly. Imagine we receive about 30 jobs request, 30 or more, just in Windhoek. Inflows of vehicles that need either this or that, a bulb, a battery, a tire, or a service. Now, if all those things are piling up every day, imagine you are talking about over 300 vehicles a week. But the process does not respond with the influx of vehicles. That is the big problem we are sitting with.
Wow, definitely a big one.
Yeah.
I think we are starting to gain a little bit of understanding what creates some of these bottlenecks, and I think the biggest thorn that we are identifying here is our procurement process, our system. And I think our leaders need to assist or come in and assist to try and mitigate the problem without necessarily affecting too many other things negatively, because I'm sure the system was put in place to try and avoid other issues that caused it to be put in effect. At this point, we would like to actually remind you that you can be part of our conversation. You are welcome to call us in the studio. Our number here is 061 400 397. 061 is the area code, 400 397. You can also find us and place your comments or questions via our Facebook page. You can find us at Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. That's on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube. Our handle there is MICT Namibia. MICT Namibia. We are live streaming via both these platforms, so you are very much welcome to add your voice to the conversation. Continuing with our discussion with our two panelists here, as we said, they are both from the Division of Government Garage. We have Mr. Kapofi, who is the chief, chief inspector.
Works inspector.
Chief Works Inspector, and we also have Mr. Amakali, who is the Deputy Director in the division. Now, Mr. Kapofi, are there any vehicles under the government garage umbrella that are fueled under that particular ticket? If yes, why those specific ones and not all the fleets that are managed by or that fall under the registry or database of government garage?
Nande, would you take that one?
Yeah, maybe just to clear that one or to answer that one. Yeah, we have a specific fleet that's run under government garage where we do the maintenance. We also do the fuel management.
Yeah.
Yeah, although we are recovering our fuel cost expenses from those ministries as they consume those fuel. Yeah, but there are ministries that are running their own fleet. For example, Mines, Minister of Finance, Minister of Labor. They are also managing their own fleet depending on whether they are using the fuel card or bull fuel.
Okay.
Yeah. So all the ministries that are within our fleet, so we also manage that fleet on their behalf. I mean, fuel management on their behalf.
On their behalf, okay.
Yeah, although we invoice them as we are also invoiced depending on the fuel that they have consumed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, just so that we understand correctly, for example, I am driving the vehicle for my ministry. I have, through the right procedures, I gain this card, I go to a fuel station, I fuel up this car. The invoice from that station goes to government garage.
Yes.
Okay, and then government garage invoices my ministry for the fuel that I consumed.
Yeah.
Okay, we're just trying to look for clarity to make sure that there is better understanding on the runnings of government garage and where they interlink with other ministries and how they recover their costs with regards to these elements of cost consumption. Staying with you, Mr. Amakali, petrol prices. That is a hot topic all over the world, not just the country. They have definitely escalated, and we just wanted to know, has this had any major effect on the operations of government garage in any way? If yes, what are the possible solutions that the Ministry of Works and Transport is looking into to try and mitigate these problems?
Yeah. Maybe just to clear off that one, when the fuel price increased, I think it's increased across the board for all the industries participants.
Yes.
To the public, to the taxis, public transport.
Yeah.
So government has, garage is also no exemption, or government in general. But probably what we can say is it's about the coordinations of the trips, coordinations of the usage of government cars, so that all the planned programs can be combined.
Yeah.
Another good example, although it's not related to the fuel consumptions, is the directive of the president on the fuel capping for the political office bearers.
Okay.
That have put the limitations. Yeah, to all political office bearers, that they have a certain quantity of liters that they can consume for on a monthly basis.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also another thing that we also appreciate from His Excellency. And it's working. It's although that it's unfortunately now, instead of the fuel expenses to reduce, now we have also the fuel prices going up. So somewhere we will meet the balance.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
That's actually a good suggestion, I believe. But is it something that you could look into with regards to day-to-day operations of all the ministries that are under your management, fuel consumption management? And in your experience, do you think it's realistic or viable,
It
the
can,
capping on,
Yeah.
on fuel consumption?
yeah, it's also teaching us now that with the COVID, with everything, that we have to start doing something new. We have to see how we're going to survive. Because the government really, when it's come to fuel, it's something that's costly. It's one element that's too costly. And the discretions, it's on the each individual EDs of those respective ministries to make sure that their programs are coordinated to assist the government, that not having 3 officials traveling, each one driving a government cars. Where it's possible, they have just to be combine the trips.
Okay.
Yes, and also make use of the services at the regional level. That we can travel together here, although we have a different activities at the region level, we can make use of cars at the regional level, or joining the other staff members.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's a lot of factors that the each EDs have to start making use of it, to start considering. Yeah, because at the end of the day, all the monies are coming from Minister of Finance. Yes.
Okay. Mr. Kapofi, what challenges are you experiencing as a division, and what can generally be done to enable smooth running of government garage? And I know that you did speak earlier on the procurement process, but away from that, what other challenges are you faced with?
Thank you, Kahia. Yeah, the government garage is an institution that was inherited from the previous dispensation, 1990. And I tend to call it was a bit pushed back.
Yeah.
We were only there to supply vehicles. We have extremely dilapidated infrastructure countrywide. We have, although there's something positive that came up recently, we have just constructed and inaugurated the new Swakopmund government garage, which is positive and we would love to see that happening countrywide.
Yeah.
Structurally, the structure itself, the staff structure, is as it was inherited from the previous dispensation. We have made various proposals in the past, but perhaps the officers higher up are still working on that. Structurally, it needs attention. And also, as far as infrastructure is concerned, we need to improve on that. I think if we can attend to that, perhaps all the other things will fall in place. Sometimes you just need to change one thing, and it affects a lot of other things positively.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. And I think it makes sense, you know, as time goes on, infrastructure does dilapidate, so it's understandable how that could be an issue, and especially with a growing fleet, because I'm sure over the years your fleets have grown, if I'm not mistaken, with the addition of ministries and so on. So bigger space and better space.
Just to add on to what you're saying,
Yeah.
we were just chatting before we came. I said, Nande, can you remember when we came here as young boys, 1990, 91? We found it was administration for whites. That garage belonged to the administration for whites.
Yeah.
And they had something like 100 vehicles that resorted under the administration of whites. So they could handle that.
Yeah.
That same structure is handling 3,000 vehicles. Many ministries were created, offices, agencies. A lot of things happened. As the country grows, government grows. but the institution that is supposed to supply that mobility has sort of been pushed back and forgotten. So it's about time that that institution gets attention also. Yeah.
No, understandably so. Just a reminder, our call line is open. You can add your voice to the conversation. You're highly welcome to do so. Our number in the studio, area code is 061. The number is 400-397. 400-397. On Facebook, we are live streaming through our Facebook platform as well. Ministry of Information and Communication Technology, Republic of Namibia. That is our handle on Facebook. You can also find us on YouTube, and our handle there is MICT Namibia. MICT Namibia. We're live streaming through our social media platforms. You can pose your question or comments via those platforms as well. Otherwise, give us a call. We continue with our conversation here in the studio, and we would like to find out, Mr. Kapofi, does Government Garage have enough staff complement, especially looking at the services that you need to provide, or are they understaffed?
Yeah, thank you, Kahia. I think we could do better.
Okay.
As I mentioned earlier, we have a structure that has never been reviewed over the past 32 years. We could do better, but as we speak, we are good.
Okay.
We are good. We might need here and there, like if you look at your far away places like Opo, Korihas, Katima, the structure is really lean for the amount of work that needs to be handled at a time. So Windhoek is relatively good. Keetmanshoop could also get a little bit of review in terms of structure. Staff and also not only in terms of capacity, but we have well-trained artisans as well. We have young artisans that can really do the work. It's not so big, but we could do better with a reviewed structure.
Mr. Amakale, we stay with the staff complement question. And, over the past few years, government has really been a strong campaigner for the uptake of TVET program graduates. And understandably so, if we're to look at the programs, what they offer and so on, it is understandable, when our ministers shed light on the fact that there is no country that cannot function without these graduates or this type of work that needs to be done. Now, we just wanted to know, does Government Garage source its mechanical staff? Where do they source it from? How often or frequently is recruitment done for the Government Garage? And does it take any TVET program graduates, seeing that, as I said, government is a strong campaigner, even in the form of internship?
Just to answer that, you are rightly correct. Government Garage, to be specific, we always try to accommodate all the requests for the internships, attachments, and they usually comes for a period of vary from 3 to 6 months. But it's only unfortunate to as Mr. Kapofi have make it clear, the structure itself. We are unable to recruit them. It's only when the vacancies become open that we are able to recruit. So we really get the good trained artisans from our VTC or others training institutions. The programs are there. We are making use of them. It's only unfortunate we cannot expand. We are still operating on that lean structure that since 1990s. But where we have retirements, resignations, we always fill in those trained trained artisans
Okay.
from either from private institutions, companies. They're also joining the government.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Staying with you, Mr. Makali, we would like to find out, we do know that you have something called an integrated fleet management system. I believe, is that correct? Is it in usage? If yes, what is it? Can you shed a little bit of light to us what that is? If it's still in planning, what is the idea behind implementing it?
Yeah, I think for any fleet management, whether it's been a government or any private, you need a good fleet management system,
Okay.
which is now from the inception when the car is procured up to the car is disposed. That system is supposed to carry out all that reportings, capturing of the data. We also have the component of financial management so that we're able to tell also the maintenance cost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
from when the car was procured until it gets disposed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's also make the life easier, whether it's on the maintenance side, when you book in the car for service. When did you book it in? What need to be done? All that it's supposed to be under that systems, the registrations of the cars, when it will be due for the renewal of license. So in fact, they integrate, you cannot deal with that fleet of that magnitude without the integrated fleet management system.
Okay.
Yeah, it's only that now the one we have, it's just outdated, although we are in the process of getting a new one that even recording the tires, the lifespan of the tires. When somebody procure a tire, for example, in Ochivarongo, he cannot in the same day or the same month procure tires in Kidmanso.
Okay.
Yeah, and also the changing of batteries, all that. So the integrate is a must to run the fleet efficiently and at a cost-effective way.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Kapofi, we have certain incidences where our government works with NGOs, for example, other organizations with assistance, for example. Okay, I don't have any of them right now. But sometimes when the partnership reaches its end or maturity stage, and these NGOs have to hand over or do away with their assets, they sometimes should I say, donate them to the government, and this includes vehicles. We would also just like to understand what is the process of converting these vehicles to become government assets. Do they become the property, or do they fall under the fleet of the Ministry of Works and Transport as a whole, or do they then fall under the fleet or ownership of that particular ministry that was working with that NGO? And what is the process of that transfer of ownership?
Yeah. Yeah, the Treasury instructions, State Finance Act is very clear on that. Any property that is donated to the state or the state donates to anybody else out there has to be approved by Treasury. So first things is if the NGO indicates that it's rounding up its services in the country, they would offer the vehicles to the state, and we would now in turn initiate the process of getting Treasury authorization to take on the fleet as government property. And only with authorization from Treasury can we do so. Let's say the vehicles were assigned to Ministry of Health during the NGO's operations, or they were assisting health, for example. If health feels the need for the vehicles, we would simply take them on board and then give them to health. Or if it's education, we'll give them to them. In fact, government garage is basically, what do you call it?
Facilitator?
Yeah, we facilitate that processes. The vehicles are not for us. Government garage itself has got very small of operational vehicles. Most of our vehicles are there for the offices, ministries, and agencies to make use and run their programs. Yeah. So we do not get to keep vehicles for just keeping them, because it's not within our our mandate is to acquire, distribute, maintain,
Yeah.
and dispose. That's our mandate.
Okay.
Yeah.
Short and to the point. Thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Kapofi. As we round off our program for the afternoon, we are very grateful to Ms. Muhapi, and her question is why the mechanical officer on standby mostly takes too long to attend to vehicle breakdown on the road. So, why does the mechanical officer on standby mostly takes so long or too long to attend to the vehicle breakdown on the road? I believe every point or garage, government garage in the regions, I think this is what she's referring to, has somebody on standby, like a breakdown. Maybe that's what she's.
Yeah, that's it.
I don't know who's willing to take that question.
Yeah,
Mr. Makale?
I can start it with.
Yeah.
Yeah, in every regions, we have people that are on a monthly basis that are rotating, that are on standby. The lengthy period, it could be that because they are only using the small car.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have to travel from their residence. For example, let's take, for example, Windhoek. From the resident to go to the government garage to take a breakdowns, because we don't allow them to take the breakdowns with. So sometimes the recovery truck is too big, cannot fit in the private yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, might take time, the person say take too long. And also the opening of the garages also, we have also the control there. Not everybody just on standby walk into the government garage and collect. Yeah, the person who's having the key have to come and also open for the breakdown to be noted there was in fact a breakdown. Because we are also trying to manage also the overtimes.
Okay.
Yeah, not all staff you can trust them that they just wait, receive a call and just drive, take a recovery and take too long.
Okay.
Yeah, there are some incidents, it's human beings. We cannot say it's because it also depends on the distance. Yeah, but arrangement has to be there.
Okay.
Yeah, but we're trying to minimize that time, at least to acceptable time.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe
As I
unless
said,
Mr. Kapofi has
we are
something to
becoming
add.
live, if I can call it that. People are definitely responding to our call for them to add their voice. We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon. How are you?
Yes,
Caller,
good
hello.
afternoon, Miss.
Good afternoon, caller.
Yes, good afternoon, Miss. How are you?
Good afternoon, Manai. You're calling us from Rundu. As we stated, we are rounding off our program. Can you please pose your question or comment and keep it as short as possible, please? You've got 1 minute.
Okay, thank you. I just want to ask the people who are in the studio, is there something that is being done in place to change the Procurement Act, or maybe, let me say the policy, or to decentralize this procurement, or there's nothing yet? Because looking at what we have been experiencing for the past 3 or 4 years, it's really hectic.
Okay.
Let's say I'm in the field, I have a program with my institution, you come to government garage, maybe a car has a problem with the battery, or let's say a timing belt. When you come there, you open a job card, and then they will tell you you have to surrender this vehicle because we do not have spare parts now. Yeah, so we have to send your job card to Windhoek, and then you have to wait.
Okay.
While your program is supposed to run throughout, or maybe, yeah, you're supposed not to stop the program.
Okay.
So at the end of the day, your program is it's affected. You won't able to continue because there's no other relief cars which are there. All the cars are being parked due to the problems.
Okay.
So I don't know now. At this time, at this point, is there something that is going to be done for them to change or to decentralize this procurement act?
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Munaya from Rundu, for contributing. We shall pose the question to Mr.
Alright.
Amakali.
All right, thank you.
And that's actually in addition to what I wanted to ask with regards to that. You did speak earlier on of the fact that this procurement process with regards to government garage is being revisited to try and find ways to decentralize it. Do you maybe perhaps have a time frame that could actually also provide an answer to Mr. Munaye? And in the same breath also, we would like to find out, yes, you're looking at business re-engineering with regards to procurement, specifically speaking to government garage. But in the meantime, if you have ministries that have been having a car, for example, that has been standing at one of the premises for about a year and a half, because there are such situations, what are you putting in place for the short-term relief while you wait for the bigger solution that is speaking to the re-engineering of the procurement process?
Yeah, I just want to start with, as Mr. Kapov in the introductory, when I think on the first or second questions,
Yeah.
that our own ministers is of interest to find solutions
Yeah.
to the way the government garage is operating.
Okay.
Whether it's being a review of procurement, our minister is really hands-on.
Yeah.
He wants to see changes. He's also not happy with the government car that has just parked. The people are not getting the services.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other challenge that we have, it's the procurement. Yeah, we have, I don't know, maybe the people that are committee members, because these things, like the cars are aging,
Yeah.
and the demands are out there. Like now we are heading to winter, for example, when you talk about batteries, these are not things to buy once off. If you have 100 cars, at least you must already have, let's say, 30 batteries already on standby.
Yeah.
But these things are not happening because the procurement, they believe that once they procure in January, there must be no continuity of the procurement.
Yeah.
Cars are there to consume.
Yeah.
Most of the parts are consumable parts, whether brake pads, batteries, those things are needed every time. So it's not just once off and then it's not like a component, a def or a gearbox that you just buy
Okay.
once.
But we need, sorry to cut you off, Mr. Makali, we need to round up now. Our time is running up. But the question here at hand, we understand that you're busy trying to find out a way or figure out ways to do a long-term overhaul of the system. But with the current situation right now, what are the measures that are being put in place while you do the bigger overhaul?
Yes, to counsel.
Maybe I can just add
Yes,
to,
please.
to what Mr. Makali has said. We have put on proposals to the minister as such, and eventually to the ED. The immediate solution is to decentralize procurement.
Okay.
Yeah, certainly.
Would
The-
that be temporarily to try
In
and get rid of the issue, the current issue
the
right
current,
now?
yeah,
Where
yeah.
you have certain cars that just need a battery, but it's been standing at your garages for about a year.
Or certainly that would be addressed. If
Okay.
we can get the system, the procurement system, decentralized so that small procurement can occur
But
at
that
a
would take
regional
forever.
basis. No,
That's why we're asking now. Now, in the next, let's say, 6 months,
yeah.
what is the proposal that you have on the table?
The proposal
Because
is
the bigger overhaul can take a while.
No, the current proposal is decentralized procurement. As we said earlier, procurement is now centralized.
Okay.
All procurement takes place from Windhoek. The processing of documents, of requisitions, and all the document takes place in Windhoek. Now, what's going to happen is we are going to, they were in existence,
Yeah.
reactivate the procurement, not procurement committees, but economizing committees. And the regional managers with their teams would be able to, if you come there and say, I've run out of batteries,
Yeah.
they could within 1 hour
Okay.
replace you with the battery or tires or
Okay.
whatever.
So if
That's the immediate.
if I understand your answer correctly, for the immediate solution, we're looking to have a temporary reactivation of our economizing committee
Yeah.
at all levels with regards to our regions
Yeah.
to try and speed up the issue of
Procurement.
months on end vehicles standing, especially those with very minimal issues.
Hmm.
Bigger solution is to look at the business re-engineering of the procurement process when we come to these particular services. For that, we have no choice but to swallow that as our bitter bullet for now, and hopefully this does come into play in the next few months, I hope. We will hold you to that. Thank you very much for being part of our conversation this afternoon. Thank you very much to our panelists who made the time to be with us. It is not a very easy topic to handle, especially now when all eyes are on you. We are very grateful. But from myself, Shianwa Desire Kahiha, and my production crew, bye-bye.